London's winter evening wrapped the city in a blanket of mist, the street lamps casting hazy golden pools of light onto wet cobblestones. The Thames moved slowly under the bridges, its dark surface swallowing reflections of the city skyline. Amelia Ward hurried along the pavement, her breath forming pale clouds in the cold air. She had been working late again, chasing the final details of the marketing proposal she had poured her heart into for weeks. Every word, every image, every strategy was hers. She imagined the look on the directors' faces when they saw it. Pride warmed her in spite of the chill. Inside the glass tower of Hawthorne and Cole, Amelia's world was sharp lines, clean light, and quiet hums of productivity. The office floor smelled faintly of coffee and ink. Oliver Grant's voice carried from across the room. He was leaning casually against the desk of one of the interns, his laughter smooth and calculated. Oliver was charming, and Amelia had once counted him as a friend. But she had learned that charm could cut like a knife. Tonight, the city seemed to conspire with her unease. A drizzle tapped against the office windows as she noticed Oliver at her desk. He smiled when he saw her, a smile that was too quick, too practiced. She asked him if he needed anything from her files. He waved a hand, muttering something about just borrowing inspiration. The word lingered in her mind like smoke. The following morning, the meeting room was alive with the murmur of voices and the smell of fresh pastries. Amelia entered with her laptop and a sense of quiet anticipation. She sat, ready to reveal her vision. Then Oliver stood. He connected his tablet to the screen. Her breath caught. The colors, the images, the slogans. They were hers. Every last detail. She could hear her pulse in her ears as Oliver presented, his voice smooth and confident, weaving her work into his performance. The directors nodded, impressed. Amelia's nails dug into her palm under the table. The cold betrayal settled into her bones. She did not speak. Not yet. When the meeting ended, the city outside felt different. The air was sharper, the traffic louder. London no longer seemed like the city of her dreams, but a stage where deception could play without shame. Amelia knew she could not let this stand. But the revenge she imagined would not be loud, nor crude. It would be deliberate. It would be perfect. She stepped into the night, the mist curling around her coat like an unspoken promise. Somewhere beyond the Thames, a plan began to form. And once it began, there would be no turning back. The next morning brought no comfort. The gray London sky pressed low, smothering the city in a damp chill. Amelia walked along the south bank, the murmur of the Thames below blending with the distant bells of St. Paul's. Every sound seemed to amplify the memory of Oliver's voice, repeating her words as if they were his own. She passed the riverside bookstalls, their tables damp from the drizzle, and thought about the first day she had met Oliver. He had been warm, funny, almost self-deprecating. Back then, she had believed him when he said they were a team. But in the world of Hawthorne and Cole, loyalty had a price. And Oliver had decided hers was worth stealing. Back in the office, the usual rhythm of the day felt strange, off balance. Oliver breezed past her desk, dropping a casual compliment on her coat. He knew. She could see it in his eyes. He was enjoying her silence. Amelia opened her email. A message from the board invited Oliver to lead the upcoming investor presentation. It was her presentation. Her project. Her chance to secure the promotion she had been working toward for 2 years. She closed the email slowly, her hand tightening on the mouse. The drizzle outside thickened to rain. That night, she lay awake in her small flat in Kensington, staring at the ceiling as the sound of rain pattered against the windows. She thought of revenge, not as a flash of anger, but as a patient craft. The city was a web of opportunities, and she had only to pull the right thread to unravel him completely. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed. In her mind, she began to draw the outline of her plan. The echo of betrayal would be replaced by something else. Something final. Amelia knew she needed more than anger to win. She needed proof, timing, and an opportunity that would leave Oliver exposed with no way back. Over the next week, she became quieter at work, almost invisible, moving between her desk and the archives with calm precision. She let Oliver believe she had surrendered. But in reality, she was collecting fragments, old drafts, time-stamped designs, emails where Oliver had praised her concept. Each was a shard of glass she would later fit into a weapon. She stored them on an encrypted drive, safe from curious eyes. In the evenings, she wandered the city with a camera, taking photographs of places that inspired her new plan. Borough Market at dusk. The steel curves of the Millennium Bridge. The vast glass atrium of a private venue in Mayfair she had once visited for a gala. That venue would be perfect. The weather stayed cold, the city wrapped in damp shadows. Oliver thrived in the spotlight, giving interviews and networking with potential clients. Amelia watched him from the sidelines, her face neutral. She did not need to fight him now. Not yet. It began with an email sent from Amelia's private account. She posed as a coordinator for a charity gala, inviting select executives from Hawthorne and Cole to an exclusive investor preview in Mayfair. The tone was professional, the details precise. Oliver, she knew, would never miss an event that promised both prestige and attention. The Mayfair venue agreed to her booking without question, the fee covered discreetly from her own savings. It was a risk, but one she was willing to take. She secured a date that perfectly aligned with the week before the investor presentation. She spent the next days preparing her real project, a polished evolution of the stolen work, refined and improved until it gleamed with innovation. Every statistic, every visual was flawless. She rehearsed her delivery alone in her flat, her voice calm, her eyes steady. By the time the invitations were received, Oliver was buzzing with anticipation. He told colleagues about the gala, about the important connections he would make there. Amelia kept her head down, her silence hiding the spark in her eyes. On the evening of the gala, London glimmered under a steady drizzle. The streets of Mayfair shone like dark glass, the lamps scattering light across the wet pavement. Inside the venue, crystal chandeliers glowed warmly above polished marble floors. Amelia arrived early, dressed in deep navy silk. She greeted the staff, checked the projector, and arranged the seating so that all eyes would be on the central screen. A soft hum of conversation filled the air as the first guests arrived. Oliver stepped through the doors wearing his best suit and that same calculated smile. He moved between groups effortlessly, shaking hands, laughing, basking in admiration. Amelia stayed in the shadows, her gaze following him with quiet intensity. When the lights dimmed, a hush settled over the room. Amelia stepped to the podium, her voice carrying clearly. She introduced the presentation as a vision for the company's future, thanking everyone for attending. Oliver looked surprised. She could see the flicker of confusion in his eyes, but he said nothing. The first slide appeared on the screen. Not Oliver's watered-down version, but Amelia's fully realized concept, richer, bolder, and undeniably hers. The room seemed to lean forward as she spoke, guiding the audience through every layer of strategy and design. She saw Oliver's face tighten. His eyes darted to the screen, to her, then back again. He knew. He could see every improvement, every detail he had overlooked. Halfway through, Amelia played a short video montage, seamlessly blending her visuals with clips of her working in the office, time-stamped to show when the designs were created. Gasps rippled through the room. The evidence was woven into the art, undeniable yet graceful. She did not look at Oliver. She did not need to. When the final slide faded, there was a pause. The kind of pause that is heavier than noise. Then came the applause, warm and genuine. Executives approached her, shaking her hand, praising her vision. She accepted their words with quiet grace, though her heart was a steady drum in her chest. Oliver stood apart, his smile gone. He sipped his drink as if it might shield him. The directors spoke to him briefly, their faces unreadable. Then they turned away. Amelia moved through the crowd like a shadow, speaking when spoken to, offering smiles that revealed nothing of the storm inside her. She knew this was only the beginning. The real moment would come in the days ahead, when the board decided who would lead the investor presentation. The next morning, the office felt sharper. Conversations quietened when Amelia passed. Oliver avoided her gaze, his usual confidence replaced with a brittle edge. An email from the board arrived before noon. Amelia was to lead the investor presentation. Oliver's name was nowhere to be seen. She closed the email without a smile. Victory was not loud. It was the absence of his shadow. The investor presentation took place in a glass-walled conference room overlooking the city. Rain streaked the windows, blurring the skyline. Amelia spoke with calm authority, each word deliberate. The investors were engaged, nodding, taking notes. Oliver sat at the far end of the table, silent. When it was over, the investors stood, shaking her hand. The board members smiled. She had secured not only the deal, but her position in the company's future. That evening, Amelia walked along the embankment. The Thames was dark and restless beneath the bridge. The city around her pulsed with light and movement, indifferent to victories and defeats. She breathed in the cold night air, the echo of betrayal finally quiet. London would never be the same city she had first loved, but it was still hers. And somewhere in the shadows, Oliver would remember the night his stage was taken from him.